So I've been wanting to do this video all day. Just, I don't want to say I didn't have a time, but I did. I need this. This is the time because everybody's doing their own thing, and I have some time to myself. I've been approached many times about shadow work because it's something that I'm I speak very highly of. What is shadow work? Shadow work is like self-work. You're doing work on yourself. Shadow work helps you come into terms with who you are and being happy with who you are, the good and bad, because some may be bad, but to you may be good. It's like checking yourself. I've been asked recently, how do I start my shadow work? Is there a proper way to start your shadow work? Everybody does it differently. With my shadow work, I went all the way to when I was a child, and I sat there for a little while and went through situations that I had to deal with, that I just, I don't want to say slid through. Well, that makes any sense. Went through. I didn't address them. So I had to go all the way back to my childhood, and I had to deal with abandonment. I had to deal with all the being raped multiple times. I had to deal with feeling lonely. I had to deal with having a responsibility at a young age. Though all those things being used, being a scared child and being silent, I had to address all those, and I sat in those feelings and actually felt them, because back then you cry it out and you move on with life. I had to sit back and feel those things, deal with them, and not get past it, but kind of really address those feelings, and then realize that my feelings are valid, right? So with shadow work helps you build confidence in yourself. So makes you feel important. So you have to go through these things so you can get to the better side of me. I don't even know if I'm explaining this right. I'm trying to do good with this. So with shadow work, you build confidence. I'm sorry, because I write this stuff and I have no notebook with me right now. I built my confidence with shadow work. I have built self-love with shadow work because I had those sides. What do they say about a shadow? Who knows? I remember later. But with shadow work, there's a side of you that is really to some people the worst side, but it's bad sidey, but some of the worst. But you have to be able to address that side and accept that side is actually you, and love that part about yourself. So you love the good and the bad about yourself, but it's also self-checking. We check everybody else, we never check ourselves. So I did a lot of checking myself, and then after I sat in those emotions, cried it out, I stayed there for days because I had to really address being lonely. Because I realized that as a child, those feelings I took into being a young adult, teenager, and then I took them into being a young adult, and now I'm an adult, and I'm damn, earlier, now I'm damn, I really took these feelings and traveled them on. That's why I decided that I went through shadow work. I think shadow work is important because yes, we can get help with others, and I've been to multiple therapists and all that. And I just felt like it was so much better for me to sit down with myself. I got a notebook, and I did a lot of writing down my fears and what fears I've had, why I had those fears, and then my triggers, and then things I wanted to change about myself, but for me, not to please others. I was a puppet that just fell. I don't have time for this. I was a puppet for so long. I lived my whole life for everybody else that I did not know who I was. When I say I've been moving on autopilot since a little girl, I have been just on autopilot. And now I am 40, and I am this is what it feels like to be Jasmine. Because when I was trying to be myself, it was why are you doing this? Why? And I'm why am I doing this? And it's just I wanted to make everybody happy. Now I'm I'm doing this because I want to do it. Or I feel this way because I want to feel this way, and my feelings are valid. That's more important, knowing that the way you feel is valid. But I had to take emotions and put them right where they belong, because I can cry about something what are you crying about that for? And I'm does that emotion go with that, that situation? But it may just go with that situation for me, not everybody else. So I had to learn to accept myself for me and be happy with it. I'm getting a little more closer to being happy, being me, but I feel I'm coming back to myself. So shadow work is important. Everybody does it differently. And I am a part of a group that they asked me to mentor a few girls, and I'm like, who am I to mentor girls? But honestly, I'm somebody that can mentor girls, and I'm very confident about that because I've been through a lot of things, and somebody helped me. So when mentoring them, I had to, like, they used to text me, like, I'm going through so-and-so, and I had to, like, figure out how I'm going to help this person get through this stuff. But helping them actually helped me. So I'm like, damn, I'm still growing. I'm still getting better. This is why I like shadow work, because it makes you sit the fuck down with yourself. And like I said, I've had multiple therapists, and I have never done so much work in my life on myself. I think therapy just made it easy. It was just like, okay, I'm in therapy. She's in therapy. But when I sat the fuck down with myself, that shit was hard. I cried like a baby. That shit was hard. Shadow work's important. Everybody does it differently, but that's where I started. I started down to the core, or as a child, and I addressed every situation, and I fucking cried. I had guilt. I'm really honest saying, I felt nasty and dirty. Like, I could get into some stuff and say some stuff, but I felt nasty, and I felt, disgusted with myself. But those are all feelings when I was younger. And now that I'm older, I'm like, bitch, this is none of your fault. We're not going to do that. So shadow work is very important. And that's how I started. I started from the Rudy. Is it Rudy to the Tootie? I'm still close to the Rudy. But I started right down from the beginning.